button here. We're finally getting down to the last, this is the last chapter. This actually would have been added in way back, but I come across this later on, so I made a chapter out of it, put it at the end. Father, we come to you this night. We thank you and praise you for allowing us to be together, sharing your word, sharing Holy Spirit's teaching and leading us into all truth. And I ask the words coming forth be your words. And show us the revelations from your word concerning our hearts and minds. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. So this chapter is about maintaining and moving the tabernacle. There was a specific method they had to use to do it, because if you touched things you weren't supposed to, you were struck dead. You know, God was very serious about this stuff. And so it's not to be taken lightly. It was not to be taken lightly. Numbers chapter 3, I'm going to be reading most of this particular part. First 4 verses. Then these also are the generations of Aaron and Moses in the day that the Lord spake with Moses Mount Sinai. And these are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab the firstborn, Abihu, Eleazar, Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the priests, which were anointed, whom he consecrated to minister in the priest's office. And Nadab and Abihu died before the Lord. When they offered strange fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. And they had no children. And Eleazar and Ithamar ministered in the priest's office in the sight of Aaron their father. So the first thing we see right off, there were 4 sons anointed, but 2 of them did a bad thing. So I'm going to say, because you read Leviticus chapter 10 verses 1 and 2, we'll see what happened when you offer strange fire before God out of his will. It wasn't good.
And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord, and devoured them, and they died before the Lord.
Right. So here they were offering strange fire. And that's, in a sense, that's symbolic of one of the things symbolic of it. Serving God not the way he wants you to, but doing it a whole strange, different way, usually demonically and things. But it can. God doesn't accept it. You have to serve him the way he directs you to. You can't do it on your own. You can't do your own thing. And that's what they did. They offered this fire. And God says, no, don't do it, and they did it anyhow. And of course, it cost them their lives. So, with that in mind, there were only 2 sons left, and their families actually brought forth the rest of it. And again, back to Numbers, chapter 4, verse 4 through 7, verse 5. And the Lord spake unto Moses, bring the tribe of Levi near, and present them before Aaron the priest, that they may minister unto him. So now the whole tribe is brought forth. And I just finished reading on the 7, I guess. and they shall keep his charge, and the charge of the whole congregation before the tabernacle of the congregation, to do the service of the tabernacle. So God takes the whole tribe of Levi and brings them and consecrates them, and they're going to do all the service. They're the guys going to do all the lifting and lugging and, killing the sheep and all that stuff when the time comes. And if we go back, way back, we will see they were Levi. I was trying to see how many they were in the tribe, and I guess I don't have that down. Because in the sheet where I went through this, we don't have, I don't have a number, so. People, there were quite a few, thousands probably, several thousand, to do the work. So they were all consecrated. And verse 8, and they shall keep the instruments of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the charge of the children of Israel to do service of the tabernacle. So they were to keep the instruments of the tabernacle of the congregation. So when they had to move stuff, they were the guys that did it. You know, when they had to maintain it, they did it. And the charge of the children of Israel to do the service of the tabernacle. So when they brought in their sacrifices, the Levites would take it and prepare it and give it to the high priest, who then would sacrifice it. So they were, you know, they were the maintenance guys, really, that whole tribe. 12 and 13, behold, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel instead of all the firstborn that opened the matrix among the children of Israel. Therefore the Levites shall be mine, because all the firstborn are mine. For on the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I hallowed unto me all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast, mine shall they be, I am the Lord. And throughout the time of God dealing with Israel, the firstborn received double portions. The firstborn belonged to God. Now, you remember Samuel, his mother couldn't have a child. And she was before the Lord weeping, and Eli thought she was drunk. So he goes to find out why she's weeping. And he comes to find out it's because she hasn't had any children. She can't have a child. She was barren. So anyhow, he prays, and God grants him, and they have a son, the firstborn, and when he was weaned, he was to be given to the priest, because he's the firstborn. He belonged to God, not to the parents. And so she was excited. They were excited, and she raised him until he was weaned. Took his little hand, took him to Levi, and from that time on, he was raised in the tabernacle, and of course, as you know, it wasn't long before he was a little guy, and God called him, and so he runs into Eli and says, "What do you want?" You know, and he says, "No, I didn't call you." And then, so God called him from youth, and he grew up totally dedicated to God, and so much so that none of his words fell to the ground void. That was powerful. So everything he spoke happened, and he became one of the greatest prophets in Israel, Samuel. And of course, he was the one who anointed Saul for the kingdom, and he also anointed David too. But that's the story of Samuel. But he was the firstborn, and he belonged to God, and God claimed him right from birth. Of course, the mother was ecstatic. She had a child. She had her child. Behold, okay. Because all the firstborn are mine, and so that's it. That's the Lord. And verses 15 through 17, number of children of Levi after the house of the fathers by their families, every male from a month old and upward shalt thou number them. So once they were a month old, they were numbered. And Moses numbered them according to the word of the Lord as he was commanded. And these were the sons of Levi by their names: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari, I guess. That's how it's pronounced. And these are the names of the sons of Gershon by their families: Libani and Semiel. The sons of Kohath by their families: Aaron, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzal. The sons of Moriah by their families: Nalai, Mushi. I don't know, that's close enough, Mushi. These are the families of Levites according to the house of their fathers. So the male children were numbered, and then tribes, these were the sons, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And they were to pitch their tents on the west side of the tabernacle. Tabernacle, verse 23. Their families and the Gershonites shall pitch behind the tabernacle westward. So, and as we go back to that map, go way back to chapter 3, see we have, you'll see where they, in your chart on chapter 3, the very first page, you see the Gershonites, they were the west, just like it said here. Right? In Numbers 3, 25 and then 26. And the tent, the covering thereof, and the hanging of the door of the tabernacle congregation. That's their charge. Yeah. And the charge of the sons of Gershon of the tabernacle of the congregation shall be the tabernacle, and the tent, the coverings thereof, and the hanging of the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So their job was the tent part of it and the door. That's what they had to take care of. And the charge, okay, and hanging the door. So that's their duty. So the Gershonites, this is the part to remember, is they took care of the tabernacle, the tent part, and the door. Remember the door. Okay? And verse 29. And the families of the sons of Kohath shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle southward. You go back to your chart here and you'll see Kohathites, and they're on the south side. And that's where their tents were. And verse 31, and their charge shall be the ark, the table, the candlestick, the altars, and the vessels of the sanctuary, wherein they minister, and the hangings, and all the service thereof. So that's what they had. Their charge was the ark of the covenant, the table of showbread, the candlesticks, the altar of incense, and the vessels of the sanctuary, all the little cups and things they had to do, and all the hangings, and all they had to hang all the curtains and everything, and all the service thereof, and that's what their charge was. So they had to clean the cups and empty the censers and do whatever, all that stuff. That's what their charge was, and that's Kohathites. Let's see, then this one, that's right, because there's only two. Numbers, so Aaron's son, Eleazar, was a ruler over the Levites that kept the tabernacle sanctuary. So all the Levites were under one of Aaron's sons, and that was he was like the boss. The boss was Eleazar, and he told them what to do, what not to do, because he was a priest. He was a high priest or a priest. Verse 32, and Eleazar the son of Aaron, the priest, shall be chief over the chief of the Levites, and have the oversight of them that keep the charge of the sanctuary. So that he was the boss, so to speak, and he's the guy they had to report to. And so that's important. Verse 35, and the chief of the house of the father of the families of Merari was Zeruel, the son of Abihail, I guess. I can't pronounce properly. These, what? Abihail, there you go. These shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle northward. And there you go. There you see the northward, and the Merarites, they pitched on the north side. And their charge was 36 and 37. And under the custody, the charge of the sons of Merari shall be the boards of the tabernacle, the bars thereof, the pillars thereof, the sockets thereof, and all the vessels thereof, and all that serveth thereunto, and the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets, and their pins, and their cords. So these guys had to take care of all the fences and all that kind of stuff. That was a big job, huge. And they take them, they set it up, they take it down, they pack it up, and they all had a way. They all had a way to do that. Verse 39. And verse 38, we'll read it. But those that encamp before the tabernacle toward east, even before the tabernacle congregation, shall be Moses, Aaron, and his sons, keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge of the children of Israel. And the strangers that come nigh shall be put to death. So in other words, strangers couldn't go. They'd be put to death. Mm-hmm. That meant you had to be invited in. Otherwise, you were killed. See, so these guys, these tribes, they also carried their swords with them. They were armed all the time. They had soldiers there too, as well, to protect. And we saw that in the temples. They had temple guards, which were Levite soldiers, and they carried weapons. And they, you saw it in those movies, AD and stuff. And those were the way it was. Verse 39. No, okay, we did that. Verse. So. Verse 43, and all the firstborn males by the number of names from a month up old and upward, and those that were numbered of them were 22,213. So that's how many Levites that were numbered for this, for the work of the tabernacle. So setting up and moving the tabernacle, the next part. Set up, I'm going to move the old tabernacle. Starting Numbers 4, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, take the sum of the sons of Kohath from among the sons of Levi and all their families by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward until 50 years old, all that entereth into the host to do the work in the tabernacle congregation. So you had to be 30 years old up to 50. And the reason being 30 years old is important, because they did not believe anybody that was younger than 30 years old had enough experience in anything to be in any form of leadership. So they were always 30 years old, minimum. That's why Jesus started his ministry when he was how old? When did Jesus start his ministry? 30 years old. Because now he was mature enough as far as the custom and tradition goes. So that's why from 30 to 50 years old, that's who actually was going to do the work here. Now verses 4 and 5, and this shall be the service of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation about the holy things. Verse 5, and when the camp setteth up forward, Aaron shall come and his sons, and they shall take down the covering veil, and cover the ark of testimony with it. So they took the veil. So when they were going to move, now only the priest could do this. Only Aaron and his sons. They would take the veil down. They would put it over the Ark of the Covenant. However they folded it up and did it, but they did it, put it over there. That's the first thing they did. And shall put thereon coverings of badger skins, and shall spread it over a cloth wholly of blue, and shall put in the staves thereof. So now they cover it with the veil, then they cover it with blue. Why would they cover it with blue? Because of the heavenly nature, right? Then they'd cover it with the badger skin, which is waterproof. And so when everybody saw it moving, they wouldn't know what it is. And then they would put the staves in, and then it was ready to move. But the priest had to do that. And they had to do that. And verse 7, and upon the table of showbread they shall spread a cloth of blue, again, heavenly nature, and put thereon the dishes, and the spoons, and the bowls, and covers to cover withal, and continual bread shall be thereon. So, when they moved it, they moved the bread with it. Obviously, it looks like here. And they shall spread upon them a cloth of scarlet. So they put the blue down, they put everything on it, then they put scarlet over it. Scarlet represents
Blood.
sacrifice, the blood. They're covering it. See the covenant covering it. Okay. And cover the same with the covering of badger skin, and shall put in the staves thereof. So everything is put away and put badger skin over it. Why do you think they put badger skin over it? It's very simple.
Water repellent.
That
Keep
too.
it protected.
Yeah, protect it, but also what else? Somebody know what it was. It looked.
Humanity.
It would just look like something. This.
It's like Jesus looked like a regular person.
Right. It was like just a normal covering, and no one would even suspect anything's under it. And they put the staves in it. They'd be ready to move. Verse 7, and upon the table of showbread, okay, we did that, and they shall spread badger skin thereof. And they shall take a cloth of blue, and cover the candlestick of the light, and of his lamp, and his tongs, and his snuff dishes, and all the oil vessels thereof, wherein they minister. And they shall put it and all the vessels thereof within the covering of badger skin, and shall put it upon a bar. Now, whatever the bar was, I could try to look that up, but I couldn't quite understand what they were doing with it. What the bar was, but they put it on some kind of a bar, whatever that meant, some way to move it. That's all I can say. Somehow they moved it with that bar.
It says pole, hence a yoke, is essentially a bent pole.
Yeah, it's like a yoke or whatever. Again, I couldn't quite. I did search it out. I just couldn't figure it out. And upon the golden altar they shall spread a cloth of blue, cover it with coverings of badger skin, and shall put the staves therein. So everything is covered with heavenly nature, with a blue cloth, like heavenly nature. And then they would put the badger skin over it. Also, I'm sure they did that so the badger skin it was probably rough. I suspect it's rough. They didn't want to scratch anything, so to speak. Continuing on. And they shall take all the instruments of ministry wherein they minister in the sanctuary, and put them in a cloth of blue, and cover them with coverings of badger skin, and put them on a bar. So that bar might have been like a cart or something. I don't know. And they shall take away the ashes from the altar, and spread a purple cloth thereon. So now they take the ashes and put a purple cloth, represents purple, as we know, sacrifice. And they shall put upon it all the vessels thereof wherein they ministered about it, even the censers, the fish hooks, the shovels, the basins, all the vessels of the altar. And they shall spread it, and they shall spread upon it a covering of badger skin, and put the staves to it. So here again, the staves, everything has got badger skin, It stays, see, it's all covered, no one knows what's under it. See, whenever they see it moving, whatever it was, they couldn't really tell. Verse 15, and when Aaron and his sons had made the end of covering the sanctuary and all the vessels of the sanctuary, as the camp is to set forward, after that the sons of Kohath shall come and bear it, but they shall not touch any holy thing, lest they die. These things are the burden of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation. So they're the ones that had to carry everything. So everything was hand carried, obviously. Of course, they had thousands of guys there to do it, but hundreds. And they couldn't touch anything. If they did, they were struck dead. And it's pretty. Okay, don't touch it. Verse 17, the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, cut you not off the tribe of the families of Kohathites from among the Levites, but thus do unto them, that they may live and not die, that they approach unto the most holy things. Aaron and his sons shall go in, and appoint them every one to his service and his burden, but they shall not go in to see when the holy things are covered, lest they die. So they were set apart to go in and do certain. Yes.
You missed 4:16.
16. I'm sorry. And to the office of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, were pertaineth the oil of the light, the sweet offer, incense, the daily meat offering, the anointing oil, and the oversight of all the tabernacle, and all the therein in the sanctuary and vessels thereof. So Eleazar was the boss, overseeing it all. Right? I'm sorry I missed that. You're right. Missed that one. So the Kohathites, they had to move everything. Okay, and then Aaron and his sons direct the Gershonites. Gershonites. Please watch this sticky boot. On the stick. 27, 28. And at the appointment of Aaron and his sons shall be all the service of the sons of Gershonites, and all their burdens, and all their service, and ye shall appoint unto them a charge all their burdens. This is the service of the family of the Gershonites in the tabernacle congregation. And their charge shall be under the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. So Ithamar was over the Gershonites. Okay. And the sons of Moriah, thou shalt number them after their families by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward to 50 years old. Shalt thou number them, every one of them entereth into the service to do the work of the tabernacle congregation. And this is the charge of their burden. This is what their burden is. According to the service of the tabernacle congregation, the boards of the tabernacle, and the bars thereof, and the pillars thereof, and the sockets thereof. So the board, the gold boards and all that, that's their job. And the pillars of the court round about their sockets and their pins and their cords, and all of their instruments and their service. And by name you shall reckon the instruments of the charge of their burdens. This is the service of the families of Moriah, according to all their service, in the tabernacle of the congregation, under the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. So Ithamar, they were under him, and that was their duties, their charge roundabout. It's going pretty fast. Well, it's okay. Go fast. The numbering in Numbers 34, 34. See, this wasn't really a very long chapter.
Yep.
But there's a lot in it.
Yeah.
When you put down who does what. I should have probably drew it out different, and showed the things, I don't know, maybe. Just didn't come to me just now, maybe I should put all the instruments, so because then you can see a picture of what they actually did. But anyhow, moving right along. Numbers 34. Sons of Aaron and the chief of the congregation numbered the sons of Kohathites after their families, after the house of their fathers. So the Kohathite, and these are 30 years old and up, the Kohathites, there were 2,750. Gershonites, 2,630. Merarites, 320. Levites from Moses, whom Moses and Aaron and the chief priests of Israel numbered 8,560. So that's how many they had to do this work. So they were busy little bees all the time, but they had plenty of people to carry it out. That's the whole thing of the numbering. You can read all through, we broke it down quicker there. So that's what they had to do to move it, to move the tabernacle. And it was a well-organized and planned thing. It was very, God was very meticulous about it, very strict about it. Everybody had a specific job. You couldn't touch certain things, only the high priest could. And if you did, the punishment was death. And there was no second chances there. So, anyhow, anybody have any questions about it?
Does this image have any significance, Paul?
No, the only
Okay.
thing that image had, it just showed all the Levites, like there were a lot of Levites.
Because they're given the Illuminati symbol.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
You see a lot of celebrities go like that.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't
Oh,
know.
me dog.
I didn't know if they perverted the symbol or was it an actual symbol? I don't
That's
know.
a good question. No, I didn't notice that. I have no idea. That was a picture.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, that's the wrong. I have no idea. That was in the picture that came, and I thought, well, it's going to show. See, it shows them with the sensors and all this stuff. And the color picture was a little easier to understand, just to show everybody had a job. But I didn't realize. See, those are the priests up there doing that symbol. That's Aaron and his sons, probably.
Because the only symbol would be the cross ever relating to the Lord, right?
To God, yeah, to the Lord. Right? And the Star of David was a Kabbalistic symbol. That they never had that. That was something added. That's part of it. That's an occult symbol, actually. The Star of David. And during David's time, that wasn't there. It was added down the line from the Kabbalists. From the Kabbalists, where it came from, out of Babylon. They come up with the Star of David thing. It wasn't there before. And it's a Kabbalistic symbol. Well, I didn't notice that. That's a good point. Change the picture, I guess. Don't want to. Everybody running around doing that. Yeah, that's right, because that's what the Luciferians do.
Do you think somewhere along the line they got perverted and did that?
I have no idea. I really don't know. I know the Abomination gave the signal. When Obama was in presidency, he gave the signal to. He gave the towelhead signal. Towelheads have a signal too. They do it all the time. It's just, I forget what it was. It was a walk by the thumb up thing or something like that. He was doing it all the time. He's a Muslim. He's not a Christian. So that's it to move and maintain that tabernacle. Everything was in specific order. Everything was covered properly, and it shows how consecrated everything really went on. The people were consecrated. The instruments were. God takes everything very serious. See, our walk is he takes it very serious. And that's why we have to walk circumspectly. We need to do that. We have to obey the Word, we have to walk with the Word, we have to, just like they did here. And we're commanded to walk circumspectly. In fact, that's goes along with this. The order of things.
Ephesians 5:15.
Yeah, see that you walk circumspectly, not as fools but wise, redeeming your time because the days are evil. So this here, being circumspectly, means correct or whatever. Can you look at that word circumspectly? Exactly.
I borrowed from the same as G 196, exactly, circumspectly, diligently, perfectly.
Yeah, diligently and perfectly. See, that's what this was done. Circumspectly, diligently and perfectly. Just as that's moved, as we're supposed to do the same. Wherefore be not unwise about redeeming, understanding what the will of the Lord is. Of course, it's God's will to walk circumspectly. You know, as best we can. We all make mistakes. There we go. So that's basically the end of the Tabernacle course. Anybody have any questions about anything out of here? This has been a deep look at the history and our roots. It was all laid out. Jesus is coming, and it was all laid out there for us. So when you read in Hebrews, the New Testament, now you'll see things coming from the way they understood it. And when we get into the sacrifices, we're going to go that after the priest's garments. You'll see a lot more. Jesus said some things when he said, "I'm the light of the world." You have to realize when he said that, they understood what it meant. We don't. We didn't understand because it was right in the middle. You have to see where he was and what was going on. They were in the Festival of Lights. And that's why he said, "I'm the light of the world." So then they all were shocked because here he is claiming he's the light, because they were probably in the courtyard, in the outer court, and they had these big menorahs they'd set up all the way around, and they'd light them, and they gave off a tremendous amount of light. And at night, it was like, wow. Well, Jesus was there, when they were in that celebration, and he said, "I'm the light of the world. I am the light of the world." It was referring, they understood a little better what he was referring to, because that light represents God. It represents, the Festival of Lights. Well, unless you understood what he was saying, why he was saying it where it was, he was at that festival. He was saying, "I am the light. I am God. I am light. I'm the light. I'm your light, not the campstands. I'm the fulfillment of that." That's what he was saying. And so they kind of understood it, and they got, high priest didn't like that. So anyhow, then Friday we'll do review. And next Tuesday, final exam, and be done for this course.
I probably won't have the exam on Tuesday.
What's that?
I probably won't have the exam on Tuesday.
Well, you don't have to do it on Tuesday. I can email it if you guys want me to email them again.
Yes,
Right.
that would be great.
Because there'll be probably a 2-week break between classes.
Okay.
What do you do? Okay, next Tuesday I'll just email them up. So you guys can do them at your leisure.
Sounds good.
As well, we'll take 2 weeks off.
Alright.
That would be, July anyhow. Let's see. Tuesday would be the 30th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be the 30th. So the first 2 weeks of July, classes wouldn't start again until